Okay. You guys, I was really hoping it would never come to this. Like, I was really, really hoping it would never come to this, but there's something we need to talk about. We need to talk about rainbow capitalism. All right, so it's currently June of 2019, which means it's the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall Riots. Riots, yes, I said riots, not a parade. Riots. Yeah, 50th anniversary of Stonewall Riots, which means it's World Pride, and we have reached Pride critical mass. It is insanity. I was walking around Midtown the other day, and it's like everything is just covered in rainbows. It's like, what did I see? It was like all the banks, every clothing store, just everything you can think of. Even like the video ads that they have on the street now are just like saying like queer this and queer that and blah blah. I mean, it's a little overwhelming. Um, but I do kind of love it. It's like I see it and I just feel like, yes, it's Pride Month. It's like I have reasons to be proud and I have reasons to celebrate. It's wonderful, you know, and it's especially heartwarming and endearing to just be living in this time, you know, when we've had like 50 years of Pride. You know, the first Pride parade was in New York City the year after Stonewall happened, which was 1969. So like the first Pride march, not a parade, it was a march, happened in 1970. So, you know, 50 years later, here we are. And it's really just a great and wonderful thing. So obviously, yeah, it's Pride Month. All the festivities are just a couple days away. I'm wearing my cute little trans flag inspired jacket, which I love so much. And yeah, the summer's just starting. It's going to be great. However, I do have some issues with the way that Pride is going, and we'll get to that. So, first of all, if you guys don't know me, I'm a music producer and recording artist based in New York City. I go by Jehovah. It's Jehovah Music on Instagram, JHVH Music. I'll link it down in the description box. But you guys can call me JV. So, first of all, I want to welcome you guys to my channel. Thank you guys so much for clicking on this and just being interested in what I have to say. This is really my first YouTube video that I'm doing where I'm talking to you guys like one-on-one. I've done a couple other things like with my music on YouTube, and trust me, there is more coming. I have more music in the pipeline. It's been really slow just getting everything together, but it's coming. I've also started putting my channel together. I have my little setup going, and I'm really, really excited about all the future and upcoming projects I have going. So please, subscribe, like, follow, all that stuff. And yeah, let's get to the point, right? So this all kind of started when I saw an ad for Dr. Pepper on the internet. Here, I'll pull up the ad so you can see. So as you can see, the ad basically says top, bottom, verse, Dr. Pepper, a queer drink for diverse drinkers. Okay, so I saw this and I was a little taken aback because I didn't really get the point of the ad. I didn't really understand why Dr. Pepper felt the need to let me know that Dr. Pepper is a queer drink. Now, for the record, I have nothing against Dr. Pepper. I freaking love Dr. Pepper. I'm from Texas, which is where it's bottled. Girl, I have one right now. This is not, okay, I'm not sponsored by Dr. Pepper in any way, shape, or form. I simply freaking love this. I have the cherry one right here. It is freaking delicious. I'm not even joking, and I'm addicted. In fact, I'm going to pour some right now. It's seriously so good. But my point is, despite being a longtime Dr. Pepper fan, I don't need to know that Dr. Pepper is queer. I don't think anyone cares whether or not Dr. Pepper is queer. Are they implying that I'm queer because I like Dr. Pepper? Are you queer because you like Dr. Pepper? I don't know. Are you a top? I mean, it's like so confusing. And that's part of what rainbow capitalism is. It's all these companies pandering to queer people to basically get their money. And the thing is, it's these giant mega corporations that you've already heard of. Like, they don't even need to be advertised. I mean, Dr. Pepper, Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper got to me. Target, Urban Outfitters, all that kind of stuff. It's like everyone's jumping on this bandwagon to like be gay or whatever. And frankly, for the record, if any soda is gay, it's Fanta. Everybody knows that. So this is just one example of many. This is just part of a growing, I want to say, epidemic of mega corporations who are kind of pandering to the queer community. And here's what I have to say about that. Celebrating diversity is great. That's all well and good. Increased visibility is great, which is something that queer people have kind of been experiencing ever since, definitely for the last decade or so, but it's increased exponentially ever since we got marriage equality in the United States. So I'm sure you've noticed it too. It's like every June, every major city gets covered in rainbows. There's rainbow displays, all the windows, like your freaking bank is covered in rainbows. Pretty much everything except the grocery store is just like covered in freaking rainbows. Which is all well and good, but here's where the problem is. So first of all, I think you guys should know that I don't profess to being any kind of like political analyst or economic analyst. Like I don't have any experience in any of those things. I'm just telling you what I see as a person living in the world, experiencing these things, on top of the fact that I'm a queer artist. So check her out on iTunes. Thank you. So here's the issue. The entire month of June, all these big companies make a big to-do about rainbows and LGBT equality and this and that. And then as soon as July 1st hits, they forget about us completely. Don't lie, because I know you know. You guys, it's honestly so bad that there are memes about this. Like, bye, bitch. Like, when queer people are feeling abandoned by the fact that corporations are taking over pride, that's kind of telling, right? Like it's a very strange feeling because on one hand, you're thankful for the extra visibility, but on the other hand, you know you're just being sold a product. Like you're just being looked at as if you're a demographic. Like they just want your rainbow dollar, so to speak, which is something that companies have been chasing after for decades now, since the 80s. And this is because of a concept called DINK, DINK. It means dual income, no kids. And somebody did a study in the late 80s saying that gay people have some kind of affluence because they usually, let's say if they're in a partnership, they usually have the dual income and they don't have children until later, which means they have more disposable income than perhaps heterosexual couples. But no one really did like any further study into the truthiness of those statistics. So companies just kind of went with it. They were like, oh my gosh, gay people have all this extra money. We should like market just to them. And so in the 90s, you have this kind of explosion of like travel companies offering like gay getaways and things like that. And it just sort of kind of grew from there. Hi. Ika. Okay. Message there. Okay. Now, not only were these statistics heavily distorted, they were also skewed towards predominantly white gay men and women in partnerships. So if you happened to fall outside of those boundaries, if you were like a gay person of color or a trans person, there was no space for you in this culture. I mean, companies weren't really marketing to queer people outside of the very narrow scope of affluent, attractive white people, which, I mean, it was the 90s. And of course, that still goes on today. So basically, this set a precedent, almost a kind of image, a falsified image that gay people are affluent for some reason, which, as we know, is not true. I mean, I love when people think I'm rich and stuff, but yeah, that shit ain't true. I mean, maybe someday if I continue building this channel and my music pops off and whatever. But right now, that is not the case. So, long story short, that all happened in the 90s. And fast forward 30 years later, and surprise, gay people are not affluent. They have no money, no more than anybody else has or doesn't have money. But still, we're this kind of like sacred demographic that they target every June. It's crazy. And It's to the point now where like I can't even stand to go to the parade because it's all these huge companies. And look, I don't want to make it sound like I'm bitching that a bunch of companies are targeting me to make their money and stuff, because that's not really what this is about. The point is, where's the money going? Because look, I drink Dr. Pepper religiously. I'm from Texas. It's the state where it was bottled. I mean, I was freaking bottle fed on Dr. Pepper. More on my relationship with food later. I mean, just by virtue of being a Texan, Dr. Pepper has been part of my life forever. And yet, I don't need this. I don't need this. I'm just going to come right out and say it. I don't need Dr. Pepper to be queer. I don't need Dr. Pepper to represent me. I don't need Dr. Pepper co-opting my identity. Now, I don't want to make it seem like I'm blaming Dr. Pepper for this. What they've chosen to do with this ad during Pride Month is just kind of part of a larger trend of corporations co-opting the message of Pride in order to sell a product. And here's the issue with all of this. The issue is not that I'm being marketed to as a gay person. I mean, targeted ads are everywhere. Everyone gets marketed to, no matter your religion, your ethnicity, whether you're gay or not. I mean, whatever. Like, everyone is experiencing this in 2019 when we have Google and Facebook and all this stuff that like actively targets consumers in a specific way. The problem is, I think, when a company tries to turn itself into like a socio-political catalyst for change, almost like they're kind of signaling, hey, we're really progressive, we're really cool, and blah blah blah, and we're for equality for everyone. But oftentimes when you follow the dollar, you find that not only are they not actively supporting queer people, they're actually actively working to oppress and hinder the expansion and growth of the queer community. So in the description box, I'll put a link to this article from Forbes, which just came out a couple days ago, that says, don't let that rainbow logo fool you. These 9 corporations donated millions to anti-gay politicians. The number one example among them is AT&T, who donated almost $3 million to 193 anti-gay politicians. So you can see it's not just a couple of dollars or like a couple of select people in the party. It's hundreds of people and millions of dollars. And they're not the only example. And this is not an exhaustive list. So the other companies noted in this article are Comcast, Home Depot, sorry lesbians, General Electric, FedEx, UPS, Verizon, and Pfizer. Each of these companies has also made a statement saying, oh no, those actions don't reflect the sentiments of our company. We support the LGBTQ community, blah, blah, blah. Girl, please, bye, just bye. So basically they're giving all this lip service, but when you follow the dollar, half the time it's going to something that you and I would not support, despite them having rainbows pasted all over everything the entire month of June. And this is so frustrating. It's so frustrating, and it makes me so angry, because it's like hold on, I need to breathe. It makes me so angry because it's like they're co-opting my identity. They're co-opting my identity and the identity of my friends, my chosen family, my peers, in order to sell a product. And then they take all of our money and get a bunch of people elected who don't have my best interests in mind. And there's not really a clear solution. That's the problem. Like, these companies can go ahead and make those donations. The CEOs can make those donations. There's nothing keeping them from doing that. There's nothing that prevents my money from being spent on a candidate who's actively going to work to oppress me. It's just so crazy. So what's the solution? Keep politics, say companies can't do this? Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's just, all I know is that it's happening, and it's crazy. And that's another thing. Even though there may be companies out there who are using this rainbow marketing and not donating to anti-gay politicians, what they completely miss the mark on is donating to any organization that does support LGBTQ plus groups. So, for example, Dr. Pepper. I hate that I keep coming back to this. I mean, I really do love them. But like, if your ad that is targeted to me during Pride Month and says rainbow gay, blah, 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 doesn't have some kind of byline that says like, oh, 10% or whatever percent of our proceeds are getting donated to the Trevor Project or the Alley Forney Center or whatever gay thing, Lady Gaga's next tour, just kidding, then I really don't want to see you marketing to me. It puts a bad taste in my mouth. So that covers probably the darkest side of corporate pride and rainbow capitalism. This is what's called pinkwashing. So pinkwashing is this phenomenon where a company will profess their support for the LGBT community in order to kind of divert attention and almost cover up the negative stuff that they're doing. And a really, really, really great example of this that actually inspired this video in the first place, I mean, forget Dr. Pepper. What really inspired this video was the fact that I saw a tweet or a screen capture of a tweet from the NSA that had like the entire NSA building covered in rainbows and stuff. I'm not really sure whether it was something they actually did. Like, did they actually light it up in rainbow colors? I'm not sure. Like, to me, it kind of looked photoshopped. I'm not really clear on that. And said tweet reads as follows. At NSA, talented individuals of all backgrounds contribute to something bigger than themselves. National security. Hashtag Pride Month. Thank you, NSA. I know you can hear me. So that's fucking bullshit. Yeah, basically, I don't need... it's so crazy. It's just like... We have a president who is actively obstructing justice and rolling back mandates from the Obama era that protected trans people. And they're banning them from the military and doing all this other crazy stuff. And then their like agencies are like, oh, rainbows and unicorns, we love you, pride. It's just like insane. It feels like gaslighting. So not only is this extremely psychologically disturbing, I also want to point out some of the language that they use, such as like individuals from all backgrounds. It's kind of, oh my God, people are going to kill me for saying this. Please don't come for me. Please don't attack my Twitter. For an organization to say during Pride Month that we respect people of all backgrounds is kind of on the verge, okay, of being equivalent to all lives matter. I don't mean to equate the struggles of people of color with the LGBTQ community. That's not what I mean to do, but hear me out. Because during Pride Month, we're not celebrating all types of people. We're celebrating specifically queer people of any ethnicity, but specifically queer people. And I feel like this language where it's like, we're diverse, we're inclusive of everyone, kind of just opens the floodgates for people who don't understand the queer experience to be like, we're all included. Yay. Ugh, it's so hard to talk about because it's like such a tricky situation. My background fell, hold on. Okay, anyway, now that that's fixed. It's such a tricky thing to discuss because like, it's not like I'm saying that straight people shouldn't be at Pride. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if a company is going to put a rainbow on something, they better specifically say like, hey, we support queer people, we support LGBT people. It's not like an everybody thing, you know? Like, they should come out and say, we are your allies, we are your friends. And yes, I realize that some of the companies that I've been mentioning in this video have been doing that, but the point is, we need real support. And this is another instance of pinkwashing, I guess, because you can also apply it to breast cancer awareness, for example. So like when you buy one of those pink mugs that has like the pink ribbon on it, unless it specifically says that your money is going to that charitable cause. I mean, you might be just giving your money to a designer on like Redbubble or something. I mean, who knows, you know? So that's why it's really, really, really important for us to do our due diligence and our research and kind of figure out what companies you want to support. And I also encourage you to call out those companies that you see manipulating the consumer into thinking that they're actually doing good for our community when they're not. So big companies that have rainbows all over your have rainbows all over your marketing materials, listen up. It's time to put your money where your rainbow is. I don't want to see your support in the form of like a rainbow t-shirt or like a rainbow colored can that's just your normal drink repackaged into something else. Like, I don't want to see it in the form of another ad that's targeted to me, a gay man, just to get my money. I see you coming for me. I see you coming for me on Facebook and Google and all that stuff. I get the ads all the time. My backdrop fell again. See, the companies who are doing this made a choice. They made a conscious choice, whether, you know, be it the CEO, the marketing team, whoever, whether it was just something they put on the calendar. Oh, it's Pride Month, we should do blah. They made a conscious decision to bridge their commercial product with the ideals of a highly politicized social movement. That was their choice. So if a company is going to be flying the rainbow flag like all up in my face and advertising to me on every social media platform, I want to see their support in the form of sizable donations to charities that support my community, especially trans people of color, especially trans people of color, especially trans people of color. Because the truth is, LGBT people are still grieving. You know, I feel like we're just in a constant state of grief from violence against our brothers and sisters and violence that like has occurred in our own lives, like violence and prejudice. You know, it's like, okay, this is from the Human Rights Campaign, and it is a list of all of the transgender individuals who have been murdered in the United States so far this year. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 10. Now, I'm assuming this is an updated list. If I forgot anyone, I'm so sorry, but I think we should all just take a moment and say their names. Dana Martin, Jazeline Ware, Ashanti Carmen, Claire Legato, Malaysia Booker, Michelle Tamika Washington, Paris Cameron, Chanel Lindsay, Chanel Skurlock, and Zoe Spears. There's also Joanna Medina, who died at a hospital in El Paso under ICE custody, and I believe that's still being investigated. So these were all acts of violence against our sisters. Sorry. And something needs to be done about it. Something more than just Diet Coke putting rainbows on everything and taking my money, you know? Like I really encourage these companies to go out and support to charitable donations who can advocate for LGBT people. You know, it's only been a couple, 3 years since Pulse, and that was horrible. You know, it was the second most deadly mass shooting in the United States, and it's horrible. Like we're still going through all that, you know. So when a company puts up these kind of illusions about supporting LGBT people, but doesn't put their money where their rainbow is, so to speak, hashtag put your money where your rainbow is. Not only is it just in bad taste and kind of tone deaf, it's deeply hurtful. And I guess that's really the point I want to drive home, is that just because some soda company puts rainbows on everything doesn't make us any safer. Like, my trans sisters are dying, and my trans friends and chosen family who want to be in the military, who actually want to protect our country, like can't do so. And it's kind of to the point where living life as a visibly queer person makes you feel like a target constantly, you know? And it is good that these companies, I guess, are doing their part to just raise visibility, but it's not enough. Like, it's really not enough. We're not any safer or better off for that. Like, okay, I got to pull up my phone for this one. So this headline says Alabama Republican Party official calls LGBTQ people freaking queers. He says, I'm sorry they're offended. Their lifestyle offends me. A government official said that. But with pride and anti gay sentiments, it's like, oh, well, that's their religion. That's their religion. So, like, you can't do anything about it. Their religion can't support your relationship. It can't support your lifestyle. For example, what else did I just see? This says Fox and Friends celebrates anti-gay legislation with Chick-fil-A feast. And there's like a picture of them all eating Chick-fil-A happily on air, like during Pride Month, even though it's widely known that Chick-fil-A like donates to anti-gay causes. And it happened during Pride Month. It happened during Pride Month. It's so wildly disrespectful. And then at the same time, we have all these companies like pandering to us, trying to get our money. And it's like, my head is spinning because I just don't know who to support. You know, I don't know where to actually put my hard-earned money, you know? I guess I'm just here talking to you guys as a person, a queer person in this world, trying to navigate everything that's going on, you know? So on that note, it's not all bad news. There are a lot of wonderful and really great companies who do donate to LGBTQ charities and causes. And for example, I have a friend who works at Blizzard Entertainment, which is the video game company that makes World of Warcraft and Diablo and a bunch of other really great properties. And she's told me that all the sales of their Pride Month pin go directly to the Trevor Project. And not only that, she told me about their Pride party that they had in the office, and they had a bunch of rainbow cupcakes and, you know, all that kind of stuff to just show support for their LGBT employees, which I think is also a great thing. You know, I also encourage companies to have not just external, but an internal show of support for all of their wonderful LGBTQ employees during Pride Month and actually all year round. Girl, you know, if I was at that Pride party, I would be hoarding all those cupcakes and just handing them out to all my gay brothers and sisters and just be like, for you, Glen Coco, you go, Glen Coco. And then if some straight dude wanted a cupcake, I would be like, and none for Gretchen Wieners. You don't get a cupcake. It's not your month. Because this month it's all about us, okay? The other 11 months of the year can be for you. So inclusive. We're all about celebrating diversity and inclusivity this Pride Month. But that brings me to my other point is that, like, while it is great to have visibility for LGBTQ people during Pride Month, it seems to kind of just end after that, when really they should be supporting us 24/7, 365. And then during Pride Month, that's when you can do the donations and all that stuff. But the visibility part and the inclusivity part should really be year round. And I guess, long story short, that's why condensing all of those messages into just the 30 days of Pride isn't really working. Sorry, not sorry. Oh, I love this. Why be racist, sexist, homophobic, or transphobic when you could just be quiet? Excuse me, I need to re-up. All right, you guys, thank you so much for listening to me rant and for sticking with me through this video. I really hope not to make this channel so political, even though like the last big thing I did was a political parody music video of Perfect Illusion called Fucked Up Election. Please check that out if you're interested, which I did get Lady Gaga's blessing personally to do. Maybe I should make a video about that. Maybe more on that later. Yes, I met her in person. I told her about my song and she was like, yes, go do it. But anyway, yeah, I really don't want to do so much political stuff, but it's Pride Month and this has just been something on my mind lately. Maybe the next thing I do will be political, but after that, I really just want to focus on like my music, my art, and making cool and fun content. So yeah, I'll put some links in the description box below for some organizations such as the Trevor Project that you can donate to, not just during Pride Month, but at any time of the year. And honestly, it looks like it's going to be up to us because these mega corporations aren't doing anything but taking our money.
Bye, bitch.
So if you liked this video, please subscribe. And again, I hope to be putting out more content in the future. If you're interested in more about me or my music, follow me on Instagram at JHVH Music. That's Jehovah Music. Or check out my Spotify artist page. Thanks, and I wish you all a happy Pride Month. Except for Gretchen Wieners.